Welcome to Legal and Lucrative, an interview series from CFO Accounting Services. In each episode, we sit down with attorneys to talk about the real side of running and growing a law practice. The people, the challenges, and the decisions that don't always show up on a balance sheet. We'll explore leadership, balance, and the financial realities of firm ownership, and share practical insights to help attorneys build practices that are both successful and sustainable.
So thank you again. So my first question is, what inspired you to start your own practice, and what has surprised you the most about running a firm?
I did not start my own firm. I was the first associate hired by two lawyers who started a firm. They had been practicing law together for about 8 years, and then they hired me. And so I had the benefit of they had already put the bones in place. Now, since that start with 3 lawyers, we are now up to 17 lawyers in 3 different offices. So that's been my journey as an entrepreneur, is expanding the size of the firm. And I would say the thing that surprised me the most was the amount of time that you have to work on the business as opposed to in the business. When we go to law school, we focus on lawyer tasks as a litigator, taking depositions, going to trial. And I did not appreciate, until I actually had to experience it, the amount of time that you spend as a business owner doing everything from talking to the bank to making sure you have the right insurance to HR issues. And that is definitely something that they do not teach you in law school.
I hear that a lot. So how do you balance being both a lawyer and a business owner in terms of managing clients, the team, your personal life, all that fun stuff?
I wouldn't say I'm perfect at it, but an advantage that I have is I have 3 partners. And so we all have our lane where we do the majority of our work on behalf of the firm. My role is primarily rainmaking for the firm, managing the marketing program, managing relationships with the vendors that help us get cases, and then managing the relationship with the people who refer us cases. And that can take as much time as you want to give it. And so the tip I have for other business owners is you really need to just time block. Let's say on one day of the week, all I'm going to do is just work on the business, do tasks that benefit the firm as a whole, as opposed to casework.
Good. When you think about growth, what is your focus right now? More clients, stronger profits, more team?
We don't just grow for growth's sake. We grow because, from a team standpoint, because we've got more work than the people who we currently have can do. But we also grow sometimes because we have the opportunity to add talent. So if there is a lawyer that we know to be a great lawyer, to be a great person, and there's an opportunity to add them to the team, sometimes we follow the field of dreams philosophy, build it and they will come. Sometimes we hire the lawyer because we know that they're special, just trust that we will be able to give them enough cases to keep them busy.
What's been your biggest financial challenge as a firm owner, and how have you tried to tackle it?
I'll tell you a story about how I really learned the finances of our firm, because like I said, our firm was initially founded by 2 lawyers over 35 years ago. And when they first hired me, they just wanted me to be a lawyer. I didn't have to worry about financial issues. Eventually, one left to become a judge. The other one he was ready to slow down, came to my partner Presley and me and said, "Hey, I think I'm done serving as the financial backstop for the firm. It's up to you guys now." At that time, we had a corporate structure where it was tax advantageous to empty out the accounts at the end of the year, which meant that we would start January 1 with no money. And what happened is that the founder who used to handle all the finances, he would leave in December and go to Colorado. and not come back until sometime late in January. And so on January 15th, my office manager came into the office that year and said, "Hey, we have payroll due today, and what do you want me to pay it with?" And the reason why is because we hadn't made enough money in those first 2 weeks to cover payroll. And that was the, hey, throw you in the deep end, figure out what to do sort of thing. And in the short term, it meant a very uncomfortable discussion with our wives when we went back and said, hey, we need to write a check to the firm so that we can cover payroll. But ultimately crystallized for us the importance of managing our cash flow better and making sure that we were being a little bit more strategic about looking at where's the money coming from, when is it coming in. That's something that has served us well ever since.
How do you make important business decisions? Data, intuition, advisors?
All three of those things, but more and more it is data driven, but we do rely on professional advisors. That's one thing that we realize is that we can't be experts in everything. And we definitely rely upon our accountant, our banker, insurance broker, everybody to help us manage our business. But an example of where we've become much more data driven over the course of the past 20 years has really been in case acquisition. I was first hired. The founders followed the build a better mousetrap philosophy. Build a better mousetrap and the people come to your door. When we took over the firm, my partner Presley and I decided that we wanted a more steady stream of business. And so we started investing in marketing. And one of the key things was to start keeping track of how our cases came to us. And once you realize that, how many are referrals from other lawyers, how many are word of mouth, how many are directly due to the marketing that we do in communities, that really helps you make smarter financial decisions. And so I would say every year we get just a little bit smarter with how we spend our next dollar, how we spend our next hour in acquiring clients, because we are so data driven now.
Nice. Looking back, what's one thing you wish you'd understood about the business side of running a firm earlier?
Yes. One of the biggest challenges in marketing is getting people to know and trust you. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to do good work for people. And so the thing that I wish I had done from the very start of my career is kept a list of every client that I ever served. And ultimately we started doing that, but I was probably 7-8 years into my practice when I started making that a habit. And that is where your best cases are going to come from, because we track everything very carefully. The most valuable cases that we get are statistically come from referrals from other lawyers, referrals from past clients. And if I had that list and I kept that list from the very beginning, and I had actually invested in maintaining connections with all those folks, I think we'd be in an even better situation than we are now in terms of new business. Because if you've worked for somebody and hopefully they already know and trust you, and so then it's just a matter of staying top of mind, and they will send people your way.
Very wise. Okay, last question. What would it take for you to feel fully confident about your firm's financial future and growth potential?
Every hour that you spend in the budgeting process, whether that's gathering data and looking at data and then actually tracking how close you are getting each year. After a couple years where you're like, hey, I'm anticipating this percentage growth, and then you look and we actually hit that. That's the sort of thing that allows you to take things to the next level, because now you can invest, now you can plan with a reasonable degree of certainty.
Thank you. All right, that's all my questions. It was great meeting.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Legal and Lucrative. A big thank you to our guest for such an honest and insightful conversation. For free tools and resources to help improve cash flow and profitability, head over to www.cfoaccountingservices.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. We'll see you next time.